Well, the latest development about Israel's recognition of Somaliland has caused a lot of shock around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, time has come for that part of Somalia to be independent. But is it justified? Did they have justified cause for their independence? Looking at it from individual point of view and collective point of view, completely different stories you could get. First of all, individual point of view, the person can share opinions without any restrictions attached. But as a nation, collective society as such, you have to be worried about how you take stand on this situation. And I'm talking about you can play politics spiritually, what that I call spiritual politics based on brotherhood and understanding and coexistence, peaceful coexistence, or you can go and then play conventional politics that is based on material and political interests of nations. Ladies and gentlemen, how do I see this situation? Definitely we have to go back to history and find out. Being here and now means checking out history based on memory by being here and now, and also anticipating the future based on what happened in the past and how we analyze things right now at this time, at this point in the chronicle. Do they deserve a sovereign nation? Talking about Somaliland people, and why did Israel do it this time? How come Israel became actually the first country to announce its support of a sovereign Somaliland? Those questions, we're going to analyze them right now, but we got to go to the history first and find out what happened, what legitimizes the nationhood of this country in relation to the colonial histories of Africans. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, you either have to be colonially justified, colonial experience-based liberation, or a catastrophe had to happen to your own society in terms of genocide, the way the Southern Sudanese liberated their country from Sudan. These have been the only two options in South Sudan. It's the only country that liberated itself from within Sudan, within one colonized entity, a nation colonized by the Britons, okay? But here, in this situation, do the Somaliland people have genocidal justification to separate? Not really. Brutality maybe, but not really. So what is the cause of this separation? Is it colonial based? Well, now we're going to shake it together. But first, let's see, the reaction of the world, and especially America, in this account.
After Israel made its landmark move, his statement immediately stirred diplomatic chatter, drawing attention to how Washington might respond next. Speaking to the New York Post on December 26, Trump was asked whether he planned to follow Israel's lead by recognizing Somaliland as an independent state. His remarks came at a time when global attention was focused on the geopolitical ripples of Israel's decision. The US president said he would first study Israel's recognition carefully before taking any decision of his own. Trump emphasized that he prefers to analyze every move thoroughly, suggesting that his final stance will come only after detailed review. Earlier,
I really do believe the United States will recognize, because I cannot see Israel taking this position alone without consulting America. So he's going to take time to decide, most likely in favor of the nation's independence.
In August 2025, Trump had hinted that he was still debating the question of acknowledging Somaliland's statehood. That earlier comment had already suggested that the issue was on his radar, but not one he was ready to act on quickly. Say no, not at this. Just say no. Does anyone know what Somaliland is, really? Everything is under study. We'll study it. I study a lot of things and always make great decisions, and they turn out to be correct. Unquote. On December 26, Israel officially announced that it would recognize Somaliland and its long-standing separation from Somalia. The declaration marked a dramatic shift in the Horn of Africa's political landscape and signaled Israel's bold new outreach strategy in the region. With this move, Israel became the first country in the world to formally recognize the self-declared Republic of Somaliland. The announcement was described as historic, a moment seen by both nations as a step toward legitimizing Somaliland's 34-year independence claim. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Foreign Minister Gideon Saar, and Somaliland's president signed a joint declaration in Jerusalem. The document symbolized the formal beginning of diplomatic relations, including mutual cooperation in trade, security, and technology.
Mr. President.
Mr. Prime Minister.
It's good to talk to you. And before anything else, I want you to know that I'm signing now, as we speak, Israel's official recognition of Somaliland and its right of self-determination. Our friendship is seminal and historic. So I'm very, very happy and I'm very proud of this day. And I want to wish you and the people of Somaliland the very, very best there. I think this will be a great opportunity for expanding our partnership. We intend to work together with you on economic fields, on agriculture, in the fields of social development, all the things that we hope we can assist you. And we obviously believe in this friendship. And I have to tell you that there's a lot of excitement here in Israel as well. So I want to use this opportunity, sir, to invite you to an official visit to Israel at your convenience. And I hope very much to see you here soon. This is a wonderful day. It's a historic day. And of course, I'll communicate to President Trump your willingness and desire to join the Abraham Accords. So
well, right here, ladies and gentlemen, tells me right here, it tells me that he cannot do the role without consulting President Trump. Therefore, of course, whether Trump knows about this announcement ahead of time, it's a different story. But my imagination, sole imagination tells me, yeah, it must have been done together. The way I look at it, of course, Arab Emirates is already there. And then Arab Emirates is also, United Arab Emirates is also in the deal. The reason it couldn't come forward to do it is because it would be too obvious in relation to Arab League in general, Arab community in general. So this guy did it. He did it, not now. Who? Bibi did it, I think, behind permission of the United States of America. Although it's not obvious at this point, although Trump is pretending as if he didn't know. He didn't know about the deal.
thank you, Mr. President. Please convey my best regards and the best regards of the people of Israel to the people, to the independent people of Somaliland. Thank you, sir.
That's a great moment and great historical day. The Big Five is here. The other group is the chairman of the party and the vice president. And key officials are here. Mr. Prime Minister, I accepted the invitation. I am ready as soon as possible for that arrangement that can be made.
We shall arrange it very soon. And please convey my warmest regards to your colleagues and to the people. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you. See you soon in Jerusalem. Next year in Jerusalem, we say.
I cannot keep quiet right now. I just have to congratulate the people of Somaliland because I believe they deserve it. Their demand was justified, as we're going to go discuss. And you will see my opinion same time. You cannot stop people from their urge for freedom. And then, for whatever reason, the time has come for people to recognize this country. After about 34 years of independent survival, and see how our president says.
Appeared unimpressed by Somaliland's Abraham Accords offer. Sources quoted him as saying that such gestures were understudy. Somaliland's efforts to charm Washington went even further, as it reportedly offered land for an American military base near the Red Sea. But Trump was not flattered by the offer, dismissing it as premature until the US had reviewed regional implications.
Well, I don't blame him because obviously United States, America can get base anywhere it wants in this situation, because by recognizing the country as independent nation, I wouldn't be surprised if the country offers the base right there, whether America accepts it or not. So I don't think this would have excited him in a way. So the answer was professional.
It is important to remember that Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991, in the midst of a brutal civil war that left the region seeking its own governance. Since then, Somaliland has largely functioned as a sovereign entity with its own government and institutions, even though it has not received widespread international recognition. Meanwhile, Somalia condemned Israel's recognition as a deliberate attack on its sovereignty and national unity. Somalia's government called upon the United Nations and African Union to intervene and reaffirm support for its territorial integrity.
Well, is this justified, Sergio? Is this justified? 34 years, where has Somalia been? They didn't resolve the issues amicably. Okay, they didn't convince the others to stay within the Somali Republic. You talk about 6.2 million people. What should the world do that the Somalians themselves didn't do? I don't understand.
In recent weeks, Trump has sharpened his rhetoric against Somalia and its diaspora communities in the United States. Stage. Israel's decision reportedly came amid unconfirmed reports that Somaliland was in discussions about receiving relocated Palestinians. Though both Somalia and Somalia...
You will be surprised what Israel can do. What Israel can do, if this is an issue, it has transporting the Palestinians and putting them there in mind. Well, we'll see what happens. I cannot comment on that. But this is all speculation.
Somaliland have denied receiving any official proposal from the US or Israel. Another important factor behind Israel's decision could be Somaliland's strategic location in the Horn of Africa, near critical maritime and military zones. Situated close to areas controlled by Yemen's Houthi rebels, Somaliland occupies a position of significant geopolitical interest to Israel and other regional actors. The Houthis and Israel have been engaged in a tense and ongoing conflict since 2023, following the escalation of the Gaza war, which has heightened Israel's security concerns in nearby regions. Interestingly, Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, has reportedly been active in Somaliland for several years, laying the groundwork for eventual recognition through discreet relationships with senior local officials.
Yes, and gentlemen, we can stop. We briefed out. Definitely, Israel has a lot of interest to stay in the area. The area is congested by different powers. Saudi Arabia's temptation to be in Assad, in Eritrea, and Egypt sneaking into Djibouti, and probably an opportunity in Eritrea. All these kind of things because Ethiopia created the problem. All these things were initiated because of that. But there is no doubt that the Houthis in Yemen and then the pirates in the sea are also main concerns. All these things can give it the justification for its action to secure a base in these areas and secure its interests. To me, this has no problem. As far as the neighboring country's safety is concerned, you understand? But like if it has intentions to transport Palestinians and give them a home in this land, I don't know what the consequences are going to be. Really, it's beyond the normal needs for Israel to ask that kind of thing, to anticipate. But anyway, let's go and check out about this country and learn a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, if colonialism was the basis for African countries to be liberated, we know that England established its control of English Somaliland in 1884, and it stayed, to my little research, until June 1960. Well, how about the Somaliland Italy, region of Somalia. History says that part of Somalia was colonized in 1889, and Italian colonialism stayed until 1941. Both regions were colonized differently. One by the Italians, the other by the British. And of course, the Italian Somaliland, right there, Italy lost control after the Second World War, and then the Britons captured that part of Somalia in 1950 and stayed there till 1960. Meaning now both countries in a way, okay, forget it, both regions became under the control of the Britons. Then both peoples together, Somaliland plus Somalian Republic, declared independence in unison in 1961. Well, I do believe they did it by agreement. However, the psychological makeup of the society should have been affected by the colonial experience to begin with. The Britons right here and the Italians right here. They should have had their own effects separate and different in those areas. Because when they united, to my research, even the way they maneuvered, the law itself was not really in sync, because one community believes in the British way of processing the law, and then the other on the Italian. So they had problems like that. But most of all, in 1988 and 1989, those 2 years, Said Barre barbarically bombarded that region, because soon as they gathered together, soon as they formed the country, there was a lot of discrimination. We have to understand there are about 5 major clans in the country, in Somalia. And 5 of them are extremely strong, and there are also sub-clans, which makes it really, I don't know how many clans, sub-clans exist in Somalia. However, the political system was controlled by the strongest clans, to my understanding. And then there was discrimination in the parliament, and then also in the cabinet. You understand? There was no equality between the two societies. There was a lot of resentment on this basis to necessitate Somali national movement, which is SNM, a rebel group for liberation, like all African liberation struggles, ladies and gentlemen. And then the pressure was so much in 1988 until 1989. Too many civilians were killed in the regime by Said Barre. 50,000 to 200,000 people were massacred. And then finally, I believe Said Barre's regime collapsed in 1991. And then immediately, the SNM seized control of the regime. And then with clan elders, ladies and gentlemen, together with clan elders, they declared their independence. Now we're going to have to talk about if they sustained that independence as such, even though the world didn't recognize. Nobody recognized it, but since 1991, these people survived as a sovereign nation by all means of judgment. We're going to discuss that. Ladies and gentlemen, a population of 6.2 million people, okay, accounted in 2024. Do they have a government? We're checking it out now to justify whether their independence, their sovereignty is justified or not. You gotta have a government, you gotta have a sovereign nation, you gotta have order, you gotta secure the land, you gotta have an army to defend. You gotta have permission from the people to give you the chance to run the government, to run the country as a legitimate government. Therefore, is there a government in this nation? Well, what is a government? Government is a system or group of people in charge of controlling and making decisions for a country. Do they do that? Certainly do. State or community, which they are, creating and enforcing laws, they have that capacity, sure. Providing public services, which they do. I'm talking about infrastructures, the utility stuff, electricity, water, and also the police, security, and collecting taxes, which they do, to run these operations, ladies and gentlemen. Essentially providing order and management of a society. I believe the government in that country is qualified in view of all these specifications. Now let's see what a sovereign nation means. It means an independent country with ultimate authority over its territory, which they got people and government. They control their people, and the government is at them, securing the territory and the people. Drafting laws, full control of internal and external matters without interference from other countries. Key features include a defined territory defended by the people and the government, which they do. Permanent population, functional government in terms of running the bureaucracy, okay? Capacity for diplomacy. These people have a representation that represents them as a government to communicate about anything with foreign powers. The only thing they didn't have is they didn't have a recognized government. You see what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, they got about 23 functional ministries in the country. Coming about the government, they have a solid Somaliland legislature, which means a parliament comprising House of Representatives that they call a lower house, composed of intellectuals, professionals, educated people with the right to draft and amend the laws, and also upper house of elders from their clans, you understand? So they maneuver the parliament decision based on the parliament officials themselves and the elders. Based on what? On their traditional values. And then together they ensure national stability and secure the country. This is exactly what I found from my research. And it's got its own currency too. It's got its own defined flag. At the same time, when it comes to education, it's got 7 public universities at least. A number of private universities. There are about 30 private institutions of higher education and about 40 overall. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. All the professors out there have to be paid. These universities have to run. Okay. To match the standard university curriculums and equipment, infrastructures. Ladies and gentlemen, the Somaliland coastal lines is 3,300 kilometers, but the coastal lines of this land is 850 kilometers. You understand? So there is no illusion. Even without this land, Somalia still has 2,450 kilometers of the sea coastlines. With all the facts on the ground, the country having itself secure and functioning as one of the best democracies in Africa. You're talking about since 1991, ladies and gentlemen, 6 neutral elections in the country, 6 presidents before. How does Somalia look at these things? Can Somalia claim this land? That it never seen, it never controlled It never managed, it never did anything concerning the social values or the social structures or infrastructures in the country, claiming it was its own country, part of its country. It wants to decide for 6.2 democratically ordered society. Oh, I don't think it's possible. Of course, looking at it from political sense, it's a different story. Somalia cannot ask the world to support its unity because it's fragmented already. It's not united. They haven't proven, you understand? But the others have proven how to be a sovereign nation. And I acknowledge this nation as an independent nation, individual. Yes, individual. Somalia, about 5 regions as such, it cannot declare unity by its own actions. You understand what I'm saying? And these people that are conscious, more conscious about life in general, who decided to live by themselves out of the chaotic Somaliland, unified collective society, they shouldn't sacrifice their lives for that kind of disorganized order. You understand what I'm saying? Therefore, they have to manage their own society. I do believe they have the right in terms of justice. I'm talking about their just have their country in terms of freedom, because that's their choice. We cannot choke them. We cannot force them and bring them into submission against their will. So they deserve full independence by virtue of their political activism, their political performance, by virtue of colonial-based history, by virtue of the fact that they established a united society that defends itself, and by the curse of the Somalians' inability together to give a solution to this problem. They couldn't even do referendum. This is German, so they shouldn't hang out there. They have enough land, both of them, enough seas. I do believe they have to be independent. I support their independence fully. After so many years of assertively proving their capacity to be a sovereign nation, ladies and gentlemen, I have no right to stand on the freedom of any people, because I didn't like anybody standing on the freedom of the Eritrean people. I'm always for people. People know exactly what they want. I am convinced Somalians from that area want their independence, and the world better expedite it, because we cannot stop it, ladies and gentlemen. I wish them good luck in whatever comes in the near future, but we're going to see the developments. But I have the feeling that they will end up recognized around the world as an independent nation through their efficiency, through their intelligence, through their persistence, through their demand, and then a justified caution for freedom, like any other society in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? The elders decided that, the youth decided that, the people decided that. I don't think anybody can stop the independence of Somaliland. I hope the Somalians will swallow this and understand the whole thing. If they cannot enforce unity as such, so I wish the Somalian brothers and sisters understand this and let go. Huh? Just let go. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, I'd like to congratulate the people one more time, and I'll see you next time.